Hello. So, wanted to try making a video about this assistant manager chip. Um, I've been a geek and I've been looking into the data, going back through the last 5 seasons and trying to look at all the data and seeing what would have happened if we had had the assistant manager chip from game week 24 onwards of the last 5 seasons and looking at all the win rates and stuff like that. So I want to get into that. And then I also want to talk a little bit about chip strategy at the end. Haven't fully figured out what I'm doing, so I'm just going to waffle and see what happens, I think. But the assistant manager chip, so for those that don't know, just in case, I assume everyone knows the basics, but if you don't, basically in game week 24 onwards, there will be a button that you can press called the assistant manager. And you can click on it and you can select a manager from the 20 Premier League teams, and they will sit in your team and get you points. And they will sit in your team for 3 consecutive game weeks. And when you press the button, you won't be able to press any of these other buttons, which is the same with all the chips. So you press the button, 3 game weeks, select a manager, sits in your team, gets your points. And this is the points that they'll get you. If your manager, who represents the team, so Arnie Slot, Liverpool, if they get a win, you get 6 points. If they get a draw, 3 points, loss, 0, goal, 1 point, clean sheet, 2 points. And if the team if the manager you selected is from a team that is ranked 5 places or below the team they're playing, then you get an extra 10 points for a win and an extra 5 points for a draw. So for instance, anybody, if Brighton is playing Newcastle and above, then if they beat them, they get an extra 10 points for the win, extra 5 points for the draw. So 16 points altogether, 8 points altogether for the draw. That's the points. And you can transfer this manager to a different manager in those 3 game weeks, and you have to pay for him. It's going to cost between 0.5 to 1.5 mil, and I think that's about it. That's the gist. So that's the gist. One thing to say about the points as well is that it's not actually 6 points. The minimum amount you can score for a win will be 8, because if you win by 1-0, that's 6 points for the win and 2 points for the clean sheet, so that's 8. And if you win by 2-1, that's 2 points for the goal and 6 points for the win. So the minimum is 8, and same for the table bonus win. It's going to be 18 rather than 16. And for the draws, it's like 4 and 9 or something like that. Just something to bear in mind. Anyway, so that is the assistant manager chip, and you're going to have to choose it and at some point and play it. And the main question I wanted to ask is it better to play safe or go with the table bonus? That was the thing that I was thinking of. Originally, I thought surely you want to play safe. I figured that the win rate for the table bonus team would be about like 10%. It would be rubbish. Very rare that a table bonus team would actually win. And so I figured it would tempt a load of people in, but you just want to play it safe. Then I started crunching the numbers, and well, I'll get into it. I'll get into it now. So, well, the summary, long story short, is that I think it's actually quite close between the two, and I think it depends if you're chasing or if you're happy with your rank. I think if you're happy with your rank, go safe, and if you want to chase, go with the table bonus, which seems like a cop-out answer. But what I mean by that is that I think the numbers come out pretty even. I think they've actually got the numbers and the pricing and stuff really close. And so it's literally just whether you want to chase, because you can potentially get a lot of points with the table bonus, but you could also get zeros. So it really does boil down to that, I think. Few caveats, so I'll get into it now. Anyway, so the data. I looked at the last 5 seasons, got all this stuff from FBref. I checked with Vastav on GitHub. He's got all the data from the past FPL seasons to check when each game week started and which fixture went into each game week. So I did it all properly, and then I looked at this to check out what was the state of the table at each point. I've been a geek, and I've got all the data and went through it all. I'll leave this spreadsheet below in the description if anyone wants to check. This is the results. So from in 2018, 19 to 24, from game week 24 onwards, there was 782 games, 2 teams per game. That's 1,564 teams. Of those teams, 1,063 were safe and 501 were table bonus. So that's like 2/3 safe teams, 1/3 table bonus teams. So each game week you should expect about 2/3 of the teams to be safe and 1/3 to have table bonus options. Of all the safe wins, the average points returned was 9.69. So when a safe team wins, they don't just get the 6 points. They usually, this is what I was saying, like they don't just get the 6 points, they get goals and clean sheet points as well. So it averages about 9.69. Draws were about 4.58. Losses 0.6, because you get goal points still sometimes even when you lose. And for the table bonus teams, it was 19.38 points for a win, which is quite high. And then 9.60 for a draw and 0.53 for a loss. And one thing to note there is that the table bonus draw is almost the same, pretty much the same, as a safe win. So when you're looking at these odds, you don't actually need your table bonus team to win. You're looking at the odds of them winning or drawing. And it's still better than going safe. So of all the safe teams, the win rate was 49%, the draw rate was 21%, and the loss rate was 30%. That's every safe team that had a safe fixture, that was the win rate. But this includes all the safe teams, included like a team that's ranked 4 places or below is technically a safe team. So that's just all of them. And then all of the win rate for the table bonus games was 20% win, 20% draw, and 60% loss, which I thought was quite high. I was expecting it to be a lot lower than that. So even if you just picked a random table bonus team, a total random, well, yeah, technically, if you did this experiment 1,000 times, you'd have a win rate and a draw rate of about 40%. 40% chance you'll match at least a safe win. So yeah, if you think about that, like with the best win rate you got, well, the best amount of points you can get with the win rate is 9 or 10 points. Even if you go Slot, Arteta, whoever, you got a 40% chance at least of matching that with the table bonus, and you've got a higher ceiling. You could go more. You've got that chance that you could go more. But that's just starting off. That's if you just pick randomly. We're not going to pick randomly. We're going to be picking highly selectively. So there are ways to increase your odds. So I wanted to kind of see how much I could increase these odds. So whenever you pick a manager, if you pick them playing at home, you boost it by about 5%. That's obvious. If you play a manager who's playing a table bonus team, so this is the safe managers, if they're playing a table bonus team, so somebody ranked 5 ranks or below, you can get it up to 60%. And if you play them at home as well, it's like 65% win rate. Against a team ranked 10 places or below, it's 70%. And if they're at home, it's like 75%. A team ranked 15 places below, which is quite hard to do because it's just the top 2 teams versus the bottom 2 or 3 teams kind of thing. That gets up to 75%, and if you play them at home as well, you get up to 81%. So you can get some quite high win rates. This is Man City in seasons 21 to 24. This was their win rate versus table bonus teams in that period after game week 24 onwards, and it was like 81%, 13 for a draw, 6% for a loss. But then even that was, where is it here? Even that, some of their losses, one was against Tottenham, which you probably wouldn't use the assistant manager for that. Another one was against Brentford away on the final day of the season when they probably already won the league, so you might not have used them for that either. Another draw was against Chelsea, so those numbers might be even higher. So the maximum you could get for like a safe team, if you can catch Liverpool in a really good mood against table bonus teams when they haven't won the league yet, relatively easy teams, then you might get up to 90%. I don't know. If I stick like a 90% and then a 5 and a 5 or something like that, you could get up to averaging about 9 points for. That's the average. Would be about 9 points, which is to say, if you ran this experiment 1,000 times, that's how many points you'd average. But I don't think you're likely to get that. Most of these fixtures, when you look at it, the runs for Liverpool are like, they're kind of tricky. You've got a Bournemouth and a Man City away there. You've got Fulham. Is that Liverpool? Fulham away, West Ham, Leicester, and then Aston Villa away in that one. They're tricky. I think you might get up to 80. I mean, I don't know. Your odds are probably going to end up something like this: 75% win rate. You can also look at the bookies odds as well, and match that, because there's ways of converting the bookie odds to percentages, so you can get that kind of sensible win rate. I don't know if people are going to be wanting to think this hard, but that is the win rate. That's what you should expect. And then the table bonus, the same thing applies for them. So if you play at home, you can boost that by about 5%. Something interesting is if you play a table bonus team that's ranked no more than 10 places below, then and if you do that at home, that's it gets up to about, yeah, there it is there, like you can get up to this kind of win rate, which is over 50% win or draw rate. And that gets closing, so you could probably do that with a table bonus team. Just make sure they're not ranked more than 10 places below, and you've got an over 50% chance now, or about 50-50, that they'll match the safe win. I also looked at goal difference, and if you can keep the goal difference down so that the difference between the teams, the goal difference isn't too much, you can get up to even higher points here, 8.84 now. That is that is 56% win rate now. And the goal difference, what I mean by that is with FPRef, every team has an XG, expected goal difference per 90. So, for instance, Liverpool is 1.39, Southampton's is minus 1.31. So if they played each other, their difference in goal difference is like 2.7 or something. But if you can keep it down to about one, no more than about one goal difference between them, then that seems to make a difference as well. Because you do get some teams, I don't know, like Tottenham, that have a better goal difference than teams that are above them, like Brighton or something like that. So the goal difference makes a difference. So yeah, but usually I think we'll probably end up on an average of, I don't know, something like that. No, maybe not that. Let's go for that one. Basically, I think it's quite even. I think we'll probably end up on averages that are quite close to each other. In general. But I also looked at what do I want to say about that first, actually. So it's quite even. I'm sure there's something else I was going to say about that. I've forgotten. Anyway, so I also looked at what happens from game week 31 onwards and from game week 36 onwards. And something I noticed in my data, even though it's quite small sample sizes, but it did seem to be that the win rate was increasing the closer to the end of the season you got for the table bonus teams, to the extent that, if all of this criteria is fulfilled from game week 36 onwards, the win rate got right up to a 44% win rate and a 19% draw rate, which is 63% chance of matching a safe win. So that's interesting, and that's going to bring you back an average of 10.55 points, which is a lot. But one caveat to that is that that is based on quite a small sample size. So there was only 16 teams that fulfilled all of that criteria in those 5 seasons. 58 for that one, 96 for that one. Some of them had 61, 156, 278. That was the sample size for some of them, so it's a bit bigger, but it did seem to be a bit of a pattern there. And it's what you'd expect. Like, that's what some people are saying. You use the table bonus in the last 3 game weeks, and you've got a much better chance of getting some wins there. So I think there could be some logic to that, and the data does seem to suggest that that could be true. Small sample size though, but I think it's intuitive. I think that's what you'd expect. And another thing to note about the safe teams is that if you're thinking about picking Liverpool, the sooner you do it, the better, I think, because there is a chance that Liverpool could have won the league. If you leave it too late, they might have won the league, and then they might drop off inversely. So I had a look at this. Where did I look at it here? This is Arsenal and Liverpool's win rate, and if they carry on at the trajectory they're going at the moment, then Liverpool will have won the league by game week about 34-ish, so if you're going to use the assistant manager 31 to 33, you might be okay. But there is a chance that if Liverpool get better and Arsenal get worse, or people don't catch them, they could win the league earlier than that, 33-32-ish. they'd have to be 21 points above their opponent in game week 32 to win the league in game week 32, which seems like a lot. But at the moment, Liverpool do look good and Arsenal don't look that good, and none of the other people chasing look that good. So that is a slight risk. Yeah, if you want to go safe. But something to bear in mind. I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, but the point was, though, is that usually most of the time these points are going to be quite safe, which is to say, if you played this experiment a million times and you had one player who always punted on a safe manager and one player who always played table bonus, on average, they would average about the same amount of points. They'd probably average about 8 points each, and there's no difference. And so I think they've got their numbers and the points actually perfect, like really good. Maybe they've done the maths themselves on that, and they've got the numbers really close. But the difference would be, though, that the table bonus results would be sometimes they'd have like 80 points, 4 wins in a row, and other times they'd have no wins. It's much higher risk. It's up and down, whereas the safe wins would be probably average. You know, they'd have a few periods of 20s and 60s, but no, they can't get higher than 40. So it'd be like 20s and 30s and stuff like that. They'd average over their 3 consecutive week period. So it's just higher risk, even though they average the same amount of points. You've just got a much more risk with the table bonus pick, because you could get 4 zeros if you use it in a double, 4 zeros, or you could get 4 wins and get 80 points. And it's just literally that. It's just a risk. Yeah, what was I going to say? Hang on, I've got a thought at the tip of my head. Sorry, I think I was just going to say, yeah, if you go safe, the ceiling is 40 points-ish. You know, you're probably not going to get more than that. Whereas the ceiling in a table bonus is 80. So basically, I think it's very close. And I think it depends if you're chasing or you want to play it safe. If you want to play it safe, just if you're happy with your rank, I would play safe. And this idea that somebody's going to catch you is like, if you've got a million people below you, some people will go table bonus and some of them will catch you, but there's probably going to be a whole bunch that won't, and they're just going to blank as well. And so I would imagine these odds will, 28% of the people below you will get 4 wins in a row, but then 48% will get 4 losses in a row. And I would imagine maybe something like that. I'm not sure, but so if you want to play safe, I don't think you need to worry about your rank or anything like that. I would play safe. But if you're chasing, go table bonus. And if you're really chasing, go table bonus towards the end of the season. I think that's a real good punt. The pros about table bonus is there are some other pros about it as well. It's unlikely to block your 3 players per team rule. If you're picking from a slightly rubbisher team, and you want triple Arsenal, triple Liverpool, or whatever, it's less likely to take up one of your spots, because the manager will take up. You've only got 3 players per team rule for anyone that doesn't know, and so the manager will take up one of those spots. So it's less likely to cause a problem there. Also, it's probably going to save you 0.5 mil, because if you're not going for a top manager, you can go for a 1 mil. It's going to be at least a mil, because you want to get a half decent manager still, so it'll probably cost you a mil, but save you 0.5. The high ceiling, obviously, you can get up to potentially 80 points, whereas safe, it's just the ceiling is 40, and that's it. It's no option to get higher than that. And the other thing about table bonus is that I don't know if we'll ever get this chance again to use this assistant manager chip. I don't know whether they'll bring it back again. So there is a part of me that's kind of feeling a bit romantic about it and just thinking maybe game week 36 or even from game week 31, the odds get better from there. So I'm probably going to leave this chip until 31, because at least that still leaves the option open that I could go safe. But I could have some table bonus punts. Game week 31, the odds start to improve there. The lower teams start scrambling. They start getting some surprise wins. Sometimes the mid-table teams, they've done enough. Their season's kind of over. They're just whittling away. I don't know. You get some wins there. So maybe I might go table bonus, just because you never get a chance to do it again. And it'll be fun. But, I don't know. I might lose. It's only a game, innit? So that is what I'm thinking about the assistant manager pump, the chip. Then where to use it and how to think about it in relation to the other chips. I think I need to talk about chip strategy, a wider chip strategy, and think about where to use it. And this part I haven't got my thoughts fully figured out, but I'm just going to waffle. So at the moment, my chip strategy is triple captain 25, dead end into 29. Put a pin in that because I don't know about this yet, but dead end into 29, wildcard 30, assistant manager 31 to 33, free hit 34, bench boost 36. Yeah, I don't know about that. I may change yet, but so that's the chip strategy. And assistant manager, when's the best time to use it? So you want to use it in a double game week, right? Because you get an extra roll of the dice, I think. If you use it in like 26, 27, 28, you're going to get 3 rolls of the dice there, averaging 8 points-ish per roll, 24 points. Whereas if you use it in a double, you get 4 rolls of the dice. So you can get an extra roll of the dice from that, maybe 32 points. That makes intuitive sense to me. You've also got triple captain you want to use in a double, and you've also got bench boost you want to use in a double. And so it seems obvious, you use your triple captain here, you've got a good one with Salah, and then bench boost here because that's got the most doubles, then just use assistant manager here. That seems to make the most intuitive sense to me. So that's probably what I'm going to do. It's difficult to explain. How do you, the relative value of the assistant manager? I mean, one thing I was going to say was like, so some people have said that this assistant manager is going to be too swingy. It's too powerful. It's going to make a massive difference. Somebody's just going to get 80 points out of nowhere and just smash the game. But I don't think it's quite as swingy as that. So if you think every game week we get 11 rolls of the dice plus 1 captain, so that's 12 rolls of the dice, and we got 38 game weeks, so that's over 450 rolls of the dice we get every season. The assistant manager gives us an extra 3 or 4 rolls of the dice. So you get like 450 rolls of the dice. Assistant manager gives us 3 or 4 extra rolls of the dice. Bench boost gives us an extra 4 if you use it in a double, an extra 8 rolls of the dice. Triple captain, an extra 1 roll of the dice, is it? Or 2 if you use it in a double, extra 2 rolls of the dice if it's in a double. Things like that, and then free hit is a bit different. But each roll of the dice usually averages about 5 points-ish, whereas this assistant manager is going to average about 8 points. So it is a slightly more powerful in that sense, but it's still 450 multiplied, with you only getting 3 or 4 extra rolls of the dice. They're 8 points each, but it's not that much different. So I think bench boost can get you about 20 to 30 points if you use it in a double. Triple captain gets you about 10 to 15 points if you use it in a double. Assistant manager will get you somewhere between 30 to 35 points maybe. So it is a little bit more powerful, but not that much more powerful. And free hit is difficult to quantify. I guess it's about 20 points as well, free hit, but it's kind of difficult to quantify the free hit because it's the surrounding game weeks seem to be a part of it as well. It's kind of often the power of a free hit is what it allows you to do in the surrounding game weeks. But I'll get onto that in a minute. So assistant manager, I don't think it's that powerful, and everybody else is going to be using it. And the swinginess of it, every roll of the dice has a swing to it. Mbomo just got a 19-pointer. And some of them blank and other people blank. You get these big swings all the time. So I don't think it's that swingy. So what I want to say is tricky. Let me just stop and have a think for a sec. I'm just going to waffle because I haven't figured it out fully yet. I've just started thinking about the possibility of wildcard 35, bench boost 36. Some people are talking about free hit 29. So chip strategy. Free hit 29, where to start? I've got another thought as well, which is that some people are talking about assistant manager here. What's more powerful? Should you use the triple captain here, an assistant manager here, or triple captain here, an assistant manager here? With that question, I still feel like triple captain there in 25 because your assistant manager, you've got more teams to choose from here, whereas you've only got one Salah, and there's no guarantee that Salah's going to be there. Who else are you going to use the triple captain on? It's less people, and I think, I don't know, it makes sense to me to use your assistant manager here. Plus, again, what I said about it being game week 31 and 33 is probably still good for safe teams, and it's quite good for table bonus teams. So it just feels like a critical part of the season where there might be some nice punts to go for there. So that's what I do with that. But could be able to think more about that. Game week 29, free hit. Some people are thinking about that now. And my first instinct was that what you got here is you got a double in 25, a blank in 29, double in 33. And a lot of the teams that are blanking in 29 will be probably doubling in 33. They're probably doubling in 33. And there's this sense of like we've all got these players who we want in these game weeks, and we're going to want them again here, getting up to the double. So it feels very natural to just free hit them out there in 29. We've got all this value tied up in them as well. But the problem with that is that when you go to 34, the exact same pattern is happening again, but in just doubled, just in much shorter period and twice as bad. So you got, instead of you've got one doubler here, you're going to have two doubles here, which is like basically four teams doubling. And then you're going to have 8 blankers instead of 4 blankers here, probably. And then these teams that blank here will be doubling here. So you have 8 doublers there. So the same thing will happen. You'll have all these players who you want up until here, then you want to get rid of them there, and then you want them straight back again there. But there's just going to be twice as many teams in as half the space to sort it out. So my instinct was like, well, you might have that instinct to free hit in 29 now, but it's just going to be doubly worse in 34. Is my instinct now. You might say, look at the fixtures and say 29 has got a higher upside because there's less teams blanking. When you free hit in 29, there might be a higher upside, better teams to choose from. But I'm not sure that's true, because in 34 you still got some good fixtures like Newcastle versus Ipswich there, Brighton versus West Ham, Fulham versus Southampton. You've got Cunha and Wolves versus Leicester. So I don't know, a free hit 34 might still be okay. And I suspect you're going to have a loss with the swing, with not using a free hit there could cause a bit of the loss is going to come in the surrounding game weeks, I think. So that's a tricky one. That's one thing to think about with that. Another thought is that when it comes to free hits, I used to think that the power of a free hit was in the surrounding game weeks. Most seasons, that's where you get your loss, because if you don't free hit, then you're going to have to kind of wrench your team into that prepare your team for that game week anyway in the surrounding game weeks, and by transferring players in and then transferring players back out again. And so the actual free hit weeks, comparatively speaking, are not actually usually that much different to the other teams that don't free hit. The free hit and the non-free hit teams are usually quite similar. It's the surrounding game weeks where there's a difference. But then this season though, we can roll 5 transfers, so you don't necessarily have to sacrifice the surrounding game weeks anymore. You could just roll the 5 transfers and then just make all your massive changes in one game week. Especially if you use your bench as well. You can just put 3 players on the bench and use, 2 transfers, and then bring your bench back out and use the other 3 transfers to get rid of. I was thinking about it earlier. I can't remember all my thoughts on it, but I think you don't have to sacrifice the surrounding game weeks anymore. So you don't have to use a free hit, and you can still navigate it without sacrificing the surrounding game weeks. So maybe the power is not there as much anymore. So I have to think about that. And again, another thought with that is, like, people often say you shouldn't free hit in a blank game week. You should free hit in a double. I think a lot of that is based on last season. But again, I think it depends, because I think some people who say you should free hit in a double game week, I'm guessing, is it because they've just had this great, their memory of a free hit in a double is like lots and lots of points? Because last season I didn't free hit in 34, I think it was, but I still got lots and lots of points because I had a very similar team to the free hitters, because I just planned to get a team there. We have the comparative advantage is not actually that different in the free hit game weeks, I don't think. The only reason that they smashed it last season was because the short-term picks happened to be the ones that went off rather than the long term. As in, people that were prepared with Gabriel and Saliba, they didn't get as many as Ben White. The free hitters went for Ben White. I think it was something like that, and he went off. And there were other short-term picks that went off, and the long-term picks didn't. But there's no guarantee that will happen again in future seasons. So I'm still... I don't mind free hitting in a blank. And this idea that you shouldn't, and you're an idiot if you free hit in a blank, is just, at the moment, I need to see reason why that's the case. I haven't been convinced yet. And just saying you're an idiot doesn't change my mind. I need to actually see some reason why. But I am very open to being convinced otherwise, because this FPL is a very interesting game, and like, it's very complicated, and I'm always learning new things, and so I'm very keen to know why people have different opinions to me. I would like to know whether it's better to free hit in a double or a blank. But at the moment, I'm still feeling like I'm just going to free hit in a blank. It just makes more sense to me, I think. Yeah, and the blank last season was crap, wasn't it? And there's no guarantee it will always be that crap. So yeah, I'm careful not to base opinions on anecdotal evidence. I want to think of it more structurally. Is it always going to be the case? So yeah, free hits I'm not sure about. But then I've just started wondering about this idea of wildcard 35, bench boost 36. And the reason I'm thinking that suddenly is because some people say wildcard 35 is too late. It's too late to wildcard. But my feeling about wildcards are that at the start of the season, a wildcard is very powerful because the template is changing. And when you use a wildcard at the start, you can jump on a new template and get ahead of the curve. You get a load of price changes with it as well. So that's where the power is. But at the end of the season, the template isn't changing so much. The template feels kind of set. And if I was to use a wildcard on my team right now, I don't actually think I'd make that many changes. It feels more set. And I feel like, or I wonder, I think the power of a wildcard at the end of the season is when you use it in conjunction with the chip season and doubles and blanks and stuff, and navigating that could be where the power is. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea to use it in 35. And then on top of that, the reason why I'm starting to wonder about this as well is because the idea of doing a wildcard in 30 to set up for a bench boost in 36, I've just got this feeling like you're going to have a suboptimal team. You know, I don't like the idea of setting up for a game week that's 6 game weeks away, all the way back here, and you kind of have to force fit all these players who you might not have ordinarily wanted to have in your team just because they got a double in 36. Whereas this idea of like, so triple captain 25, if you did free hit in 29, right now I've got a bunch of players in my team that are going to be blanking likely in 29 and then doubling again in 33. And there's this feeling of like, I could just keep running my team hot all the way right up to 33. Just if I just lop 29 off of my mind right now, then I can just keep going. I can keep playing, keep running hot, and keep building up to 33. Then I can just smash 33. And then basically 34, I can almost just sacrifice. Just sacrifice it. Maybe there might be a few little things I can do. Maybe I can build transfers up for 34 and use that, what I said earlier about the surrounding game weeks, building up 5 transfers. Maybe I can just use it for that. And actually try to kind of just salvage 34 the best I can. Because then the other side, I've got a wildcard 35, bench boost 36. I'm not going to need 5 transfers here probably because I'm wildcarding there. Bench boost 36 straight away. Don't have to waste too much money on my bench on 36 from too far out. Then it's just to the end of the season. I don't know. There's something about that made me think that could be a good idea. Wildcard 35, bench boost 36. Yeah, because I was going to try and have 5 free transfers for 30. If I was going to wildcard 30, I want to have 5 free transfers for that. But it's going to be very hard to... Ideally, you want to use your 5 free transfers for 29 and then just do mass changes there, rather than... Because a lot of these players that you don't want in 29, you're going to want in these game weeks. So at the moment, if I want 5 transfers in 30, I'm going to have to start taking some of these players out 1 in 28, 1 in 27, 1 in 26, and just start. I am going to have to use the. I'm basically going to have to get to 5 free transfers around about 24, 25, and then just keep using one transfer, one transfer, one transfer, so that I've always got 5 free transfers going into 29, and then I'll have 5 free transfers in 30. That's probably how, or 4, but that's kind of how I'd have to do it, which is not sure if that's ideal, not sure if that's ideal. Whereas if I wildcard 35, bench boost 36, I can. The 5 free transfer thing doesn't matter so much until 34. 34 is the only one where it matters. So I've got longer time to roll transfers. And then basically in 34, when that one comes along, I can use all of them because I'm not going to need 5 transfers in 35. It's not going to be the same here. In 29, I need that. I want those 5 on 30. But here I can just use all 5 in 34 and then just have none. I have to have 1 in 35 because it's not going to matter as much. I won't need that many transfers. So that feels nice as well. So that's all feeling very nice. And then the only other problem, though, that I've got in my head that I haven't figured out is team value. And the fact that, so in free hit 29, that's fine. You don't have to worry about that. So all these players, Salah, if it's Palmer, or if you've got Isaac and Gordon, if they've gone up in team value, Rodgers, if they've gone up in team value, you don't want to sell them because you're going to lose that team value and then have to buy them back again. It's a waste. So you could just free hit in 29 and keep all their value. It's fine. But then when it comes to 34, what are you going to do? Because you're going to have even more team value in some of these players. Like, what are you going to do about Salah if he blanks in 34? Well, you can bench 3 of them. So you could bench Salah, maybe Isaac. I mean, Isaac might have a fixture. You might get lucky. At the moment, he's actually predicted, because these will only be blanks in 34 if both of these teams, if one of these 2 teams gets to the FA Cup semi-final. So with Newcastle, it would have to be Newcastle or Ipswich that gets to the semi-final, which is possible that Newcastle could. But some of these other fixtures, like Man City, Aston Villa, there's double the chance there that one of those 2 teams will get to the semi-final of the FA Cup. Liverpool, Tottenham only needs one of those 2 teams to get to the semi-final, and that would be a blank. Arsenal, Palace, Chelsea, Everton, semi-good teams there. So those games are more likely to be blanks, whereas Newcastle, Ipswich, less so. So Newcastle, mate, you might be all right, but other players who are going to double, Crystal Palace, they're probably going to blank in 34. So if they double in 33 and then blank in 34, that means they're also going to double in 36. I mean, all these teams that blank in 34 will be doubling in 36. And so you're going to want them back. And you've only got 3 bench spots. But there's a question of team value and how much is it worth. It may be the case that you just take the hit. Maybe by this point your team value will be 106, 107 mil or something, and you just take the hit and build a bench boost team with just 104 mil or something like that, and you have a big points hit. That might be okay. Or you just take the hit in regards to just only fielding 7, 8, 9 players, and just literally leave a player you've got a lot of team value in. It may be the case that if you're going to lose 500,000 on a player, which is maybe rare. It's only Salah really, and only a few of them, Salah and Isaac. But if you're going to lose too much money on a player, you might make the calculation that it's better to let them blank here there, so that you can keep them here and have a better bench boost here. So yeah, I don't know. There's maths to be made in that little period there, but I've just started to kind of swing towards that recently. I need to have another think about it. Originally, what I didn't like about it was just how do you navigate double 33 bench and blank 34, because that's going to be such a swing. A lot of the teams, better to see it here on this is James from Planet FPL, his projections here, and a lot of the teams that are double in 33 are going to blank in 34. Aston Villa double and then blank, Crystal Palace double and then blank, Liverpool, and then you might get lucky with Newcastle. But if you've got a bunch of these players, and you've only got 3 bench spots, maybe 4 if you've got a goalie here, that's quite a swing. It feels like that could be problematic. I need to kind of have a deeper look into it. So yeah, I might make another video another time, but Yeah, that could be problematic, but I need to kind of get a sense of how problematic it will be. Yeah, so that's my thoughts. So I was triple captain there. That was my strategy, but I am starting to wonder about bench boost 36 wildcard 35 instead, just so I can run hot all the way. It just feels nice. I don't like that idea of wrenching my team out of position, out of its optimal position, just for this. I don't like chasing all these blanks and doubles so much anymore. Like, I think sometimes you can build a suboptimal team just because you're too focused on the doubles and the blanks. Yeah, don't know. I think I'm nearing the end of my thoughts, so I think I'm going to end the waffle there. Don't know. Other little random thoughts I did have was things like Rodgers, Aston Villa are a team that are likely to double in both of these and blank in both of these, and so people like Rodgers, if you got value in them, might be a valuable player, especially for bench boost here. He's cheap. You don't really want to sell him and then have to buy him back again. So he's one of those players that you'd want to bench. Salah and Rodgers maybe, but I don't know. I think I'll leave it there. I'll probably think of 100 more things as soon as I stop the video, but I'll leave it there. If anybody has any thoughts, if I've made any mistakes, or if you've got any other thoughts on what your chip strategy thoughts are, feel free to comment, and I'll see you later. Okay, bye-bye.